Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about parenting and self-government all over the world. And in this video, I'm talking about how the body voice deceives us. So we have multiple different voices that we have to keep track of within us. We have a lot of opposition going on, and one of those voices is the body voice. People pay a lot of attention to the body voice nowadays, but the body voice can deceive us. In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 ways that the body voice can deceive. If you've seen my video about the 3 voices and self-mastery, then you'll remember that each person has 3 voices. So we have the brain voice, which we call the puppet. We have the heart voice, which is the will of the person. And then we have the body voice. The body voice is the voice that controls all of the feelings and cravings and sensations that a body might have. Now, when a child is very young, the child actually is driven by the heart voice. Many people do not recognize that, but a child does not learn to walk because they're thinking it through logically that they need to balance themselves on their feet and then shift their weight and lift up one foot and take a step forward. That they don't think through any of that. Now, it is true that they have to have a little bit of body awareness, but why is it that they really take those steps forward? It's because they're thinking, Mama. Mama, they want to go to their mom. That's what they're doing. Or maybe it's their dad. They want something that's over there. Why do they roll over? Because they want some toy or they want to see something that's from a different angle. So why do they pick up things with 2 fingers? Because they want to get it to their mouth and they're trying to figure out the best way to do it. And so this desire, this heart voice, this will of the person is what actually moves them forward. The brain voice is a key voice. And I talked about this in my other video. It is the puppet and it can be controlled in multiple different ways. So the body voice can control the puppet. The puppet will rationalize anything that the body voice tells it. So let's say that I'm in bed in the morning and I'm sleeping and my alarm goes off. Beep, 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 beep. What does my body voice immediately tell me? My body voice says, no, not yet, right? And then immediately my puppet or my brain voice will say, yeah, I didn't go to bed until late last night. I woke up multiple times. I'm going to need more sleep in order to really do well today. So no, I can't get up. And then it will turn the alarm off or it will press snooze. That's what your body voice does and your brain voice, how it rationalizes what the body voice wants. So what would happen when you use the heart voice instead of the body voice? Well, you would be sleeping in your bed and you would hear beep, 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 beep. And then what would happen is that beep, beep, beep would trigger something. You had planned ahead of time that when you heard that beep, 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 that you would immediately sit up, stand up, put your feet on the floor and not touch the bed again. So when you hear the beep, 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 you sit up, stand up, put your feet on the floor, look back at the bed and say, no, I will not touch you again, because you already made a decision with your heart, with your will, the night before that you would get up when that alarm went off because you had to. Didn't matter how tired you were in the morning, you would wake up. And your brain said, yep, do this. Remember, this was the plan. So the heart prepares the brain or the puppet for success in the morning and it controls the body. That's how the voices are supposed to work in order for us to have optimum freedom. Okay, so when we follow the heart voice, we get freedom. But when we don't follow the heart voice, we end up in bondage. So following this body voice can actually really hurt us. I meet with a lot of people, children and adults all over the world, and they talk to me about what's going on in their families and in their relationships. And you know what I hear a lot of? Excuses. Sure, they're trying to figure out why certain things are happening to them, but oftentimes they end up getting to excuses. Well, they, do this, and so that makes me do this. In fact, just the other day, I was talking with a woman who said that her husband was actually convinced that someone makes him do certain things, that someone else's behavior or words or, whatever it is, lack of respect, makes him behave in a certain way. And I thought, but that's not true. That's a lie. And she knew it was a lie too, so we had a little discussion about it. He is not wanting to listen to the heart voice. He is not wanting to acknowledge that he actually has a choice. So instead, he is making excuses, blaming others for his behavior. That is something that can happen because the body voice can deceive us in so many ways. So let's talk about how the body voice can deceive us. But before we talk about the 4 different ways that the body voice can deceive us, so that you're ready not to give in to those deceptions, click on the subscribe button now. This channel has new videos that come out all the time, and you are not going to want to miss them. In fact, there's so much content on here about self-government that really you should be able to start taking pieces and fixing your heart and listening to your heart voice more just by learning the skills and principles that are taught on this channel. So click subscribe now, and don't forget that notification bell, which will help you also learn when new videos come out. All right, so let's talk about these 4 voices that deceive us. They are all part of the body voice, and I want you to know I could talk about a lot more than 4, but I'm going to talk about the 4 main voices that we might be contending with. So the first voice that might deceive us is what I call the lazy voice, okay? This is the voice that is just done. It's tired. It wants to give up. It wants to go back to bed. It doesn't want to handle it. Maybe the body is worn out in one way or another, whether it's emotionally or whether it's physically and muscularly. It's just done. And just so you know, your emotions and your chemicals are all part of the body voice, not the heart voice or the brain voice. When the body feels like it's done, it wants to give up and it gets lazy. This lazy voice will plague us all the time. It's always going to be giving us messages like, just don't do it. You don't have to. Somebody else will. You can do it later. This is the voice of procrastination. This voice gets us in a lot of trouble, and we often regret listening to it, especially if really inside we are a driven person. We're just having a bad moment. So then we end up beating ourselves up too, because we listened to the lazy voice in the first place. The second voice that can deceive us is the craving voice. The craving voice. So we focus a lot on our senses when we're listening to this craving voice. Ooh, that would taste good. Or, oh, I really just want some of that time on the couch, that downtime. Or, ooh, I need more chocolate. Or I want some of that drug maybe. Or I want to get on the computer or the screen. You're craving to see if somebody liked your post on Facebook, or if somebody is there to play a game for you in an online game or something like that. This craving voice is huge. People are battling it every single day. Every single day. How many apps are dedicated to losing weight? So many. How many programs are out there to suck you in? How many social media platforms and games and stuff like that? So many. How many new foods do people keep coming up with? What, the tastes are never ending. Just when you think surely they've come up with every taste possible, no. And we have whole programs that show us there's more and more and more tastes, that we're not done with coming up with taste yet. In fact, people take foods and then they remake it into other foods that nobody else has ever made before. They just make it up on the spot. Oh no, a whole new taste. Oh, now everyone wants to taste it, right? Our craving voice. This voice gets us into trouble because lots of times we end up focusing too much on these little teeny details, right? The detail of smell, the detail of taste, the detail of touch, or how something feels, if it's scratchy or soft or something. And then we crave for it to be a certain way. And when we get hyper focused on those details, we will not hear the heart voice. We will not. Our brain will be completely consumed with the details that our body is processing and sending to the brain. So at some point we have to say, but what ought we to be focusing on right now? What is going to be productive and useful? What is going to make a positive impact for us and for the world, right? Those are the types of things that we need to be considering, and those are thoughts that come from the heart voice, not the body voice. The third voice that can deceive us, which is, again, remember, a body voice, is the offended voice, or we could call it the fight voice, okay? So this voice is a big troublemaker, all right? Something happens. Maybe it's a feeling that we get, like it didn't feel kind what somebody did, or maybe we feel like somebody didn't help us. We felt a need that wasn't met or something like that. So we get a feeling in our body, and then our brain immediately rationalizes what's happening, that feeling in the body, with this thought that's offended. We have to program the brain voice to say, every time I get this feeling, I'm going to be offended. We have to do that, okay? So, but the puppet now is being offended, and at that point, the puppet decides that it's a victim, and when it's a victim, it starts to fight. Now, I don't know if you've noticed lately, but I certainly have, that a lot of the messaging that's out there, a lot of the ideological and social debates that are ongoing right now are things that lead people to feel like victims. So I'm a victim, therefore I must fight. And this is what people are doing. What does that do to relationships? What does that do to unity and cohesion for a society? It ruins it. It literally tears it apart. So if you think of yourself as a victim, then you immediately have disempowered yourself, and you have nothing left to do but either take it or fight. So you are now broken down. If you choose to be offended, it is a choice that we make. So this particular feeling of offense, or feeling that something has happened to us, no matter what it is, and I know there's real things that can happen that can hurt. I know that. But even so, we cannot choose to process it from a place of offense, because that will just make our body get into fight mode, and everything will be about fight. And the puppet will only be used to pull us away from other people, to not understand other people, to judge other people, put them in boxes. This is going to be terrible for our relationships. So this offended fight voice causes lots of problems. So what is the solution then that's in the heart voice? Well, the heart voice is the voice that is focused on our morals and our principles. So hopefully the voice is going to bring us some truth. So if I get a feeling like I've been hurt, or not cared for in some way, and so I'm offended, and then I start rationalizing it up here, I might train my heart to think, wait a second, I'm getting offended. What else could be true? And so my heart is going to send now some truth. Okay, so what might be true is that person that offended me might not know they offended me. Or even if they offended me, I could still choose to be okay and be happy. Those are some truths that I could learn as principles, and then create new thoughts in the puppet to handle my problem, so that I don't have to be stuck fighting everybody and getting emotional. If you end up using this voice all the time, you will be emotional. And that takes more energy than anything else you do. Being emotional takes more energy than physically running a race. In fact, oftentimes physically running a race actually empowers you in ways that are spiritual, emotional, and gets your thoughts going. But emotional, no, you can't think. It tears you down. It puts you in a wrong place. I know a lot of people experience things like stress, anxiety, frustration, perfectionism, pain, fear. There's a lot of things that we go through as people. I mean, it's just like part of life, right? But those types of things don't need to be our primary focus. So the fourth voice that can really be deceiving is the hyper-focus voice. So the hyper-focus voice is the voice that gets us thinking, again and again and again about the same thing. The voice that just can't seem to leave the details alone. Now, I know some people, maybe people who have ADHD or something like that, they may struggle a little bit more with this hyper-focused voice, or people who have OCDs. They're definitely going to struggle more with hyper-focused voice. But I did treatment foster care for a lot of years for troubled teens, and most of the teens were not neurotypical. So they had things like ADD, ADHD, OCD, ODD, RAD, FAS, kleptomania, compulsive lying, anger control issues, sensory issues, bipolar spectrum issues. These are all types of processing issues that end up having a person be more anxious, so they have higher levels of anxiety and stress, and they can hyper-focus more, okay? Depending on what the circumstance is for the person. This hyper-focus voice was a voice that I got to work with a lot. They came to my home for treatment. Could I just say, well, you have anxiety? No. I couldn't just give them an excuse. If I give them an excuse, I'm going to feed the lazy voice, and we will not get anywhere. So instead, I would have to say, let's understand the hyper-focus voice. Let's see what's going on when we keep thinking the same thing again and again and again, okay? And then that hyper-focus voice is something that we can tell is not truth. We can say, no, that's not true. There's something else that might be true. And where's that going to come from? Real truths, real principles from our heart voice, okay? Our heart voice is going to say, you can do this. You can take one step forward. You can decide to talk in public and say that one thing. You can make a new friend. You can, whatever it is, you can try it. Just try it. Anyone can try it. You're not going to get hurt. You have someone here to help you. You are going to be okay. And even if you do get hurt, it's not going to be the end of the world. Someone will be here to help you, right? You have parents, or in their case, foster parents. Someone is going to be there. So we were constantly telling them the truths that they needed in order to push off those fears and things that were coming from the body voice with this hyper-focused tendency that they happen to have. Now, in our society, there are many people who are very neurotypical, but they have learned to hyper-focus because our society is hyper-focusing on so many things. What we need to do is we need to recognize if we are hyper-focusing and teach ourselves to get calm. So this brings me to a free gift that I have for you. Since you have stayed to the end of this video, I would like to share with you a free mini course. This course is called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. It has 10 lessons in it that will help you be calm when you are struggling and should give you some great tools that you can share with your children too. So in the description below this video, there is a link. The link says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. So go to that link and you can have the Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. This toolkit is the perfect place to start on your self-government journey. Now, I promise you, you're not going to get every single thing you need there. It's just a beginning, just some about calmness so that you can start connecting with other people and hopefully start hearing that heart voice a little bit more. But after that, definitely go on to other courses, books, and trainings that I have that teach the skills that you need about self-government. So click on the link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit now, and I'll see you there.